The millionaire's mother froze when she saw her lost daughter's ring on the waitress's hand. The private dining room at the Imperial Terrace shimmered under the warm November light filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows. Manhattan stretched below like a living tapestry, all steel and glass and ambition. Crystal chandeliers cast delicate shadows across white linen tablecloths. Sterling silver cutlery caught the glow of handcrafted candles. Everything was perfection. Controlled, curated, expensive. Arden Caldwell sat with the posture of someone who'd learned long ago that slouching was weakness. At 50, she wore her ivory-tailored suit like armor. Her ash-blonde hair was swept into an elegant chignon, not a strand out of place. Across from her, 3 business associates discussed quarterly projections with the kind of enthusiasm reserved for people who'd never worried about money. She wasn't really listening. Arden reached for her wine glass, ready to signal for a refill. When time fractured, the young waitress approaching their table couldn't have been more than 27. Dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Tired eyes that had seen too many double shifts. Plain black uniform. White apron. The kind of invisible person wealthy diners never really looked at. But Arden looked, more specifically. Arden looked at the waitress's left hand as it extended toward the wine bottle. On her ring finger sat a small silver band. Set into it was a turquoise stone carved into the shape of a butterfly, its wings spread in eternal flight. The wine glass slipped from Arden's fingers. Crystal exploded against marble flooring. Crimson liquid spread like blood across white stone. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. The waitress jumped back, apologizing profusely. But Arden didn't hear any of it. That ring, that impossible ring. She'd commissioned it herself 21 years ago in a tiny artisan shop in Santa Fe, New Mexico. One of a kind, irreplaceable. She'd spent hours with the jeweler, selecting the exact shade of turquoise, insisting on the butterfly design because her daughter had been obsessed with butterflies that summer. She'd even had initials engraved inside the band. AC. Arden Caldwell had slipped that ring onto her 6-year-old daughter's pinky finger on the last day she ever saw her alive. Ma'am, are you all right? The waitress's voice cut through the fog. Concerned, genuinely worried. Arden's throat had closed. She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Her business associates were staring. One of them, Michael was it, stood up, asking if she needed water, if she was having some kind of attack. Mom, Arden's son materialized at her side. Alistair Caldwell, 27 years old, 6'2" of controlled elegance in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than this waitress made in 3 months. He'd been meeting with investors 2 floors up. Someone must have called him. Mom, what's wrong? His hand gripped her shoulder. Firm, grounding. Arden finally dragged her eyes from the ring to the waitress's face. Gray eyes, not quite blue, not quite green, a scattering of freckles across her nose, the way she tilted her head slightly to the left when concerned. No, it was impossible. Your name, Arden whispered, her voice cracking. What's your name? The waitress blinked, clearly thrown by the question. Briar Holloway, ma'am. Wrong name, wrong last name. But that ring. I'm so sorry about the glass, Briar continued. Already kneeling to collect the larger shards, a busboy appeared with a dustpan. I'll get you another... The ring. Arden's voice came out sharper than intended. Where did you get that ring? Briar paused, her hand instinctively moving to cover the jewelry. Protective. It was. My grandmother gave it to me before she passed. Why? Where did she get it? The question hung in the air like smoke. Arden's business associates exchanged uncomfortable glances. This wasn't normal. Arden Caldwell didn't lose composure. Arden Caldwell didn't interrogate waitstaff about their jewelry. But Alistair knew. He'd gone very still beside her, his hand tightening on her shoulder. He'd heard the stories his entire life. He'd lived in the shadow of the sister he couldn't remember. I don't know, ma'am. Briar stood slowly, backing up half a step. She just said I was wearing it when she found me. I was a kid. That's all she ever told me. Found her. The words detonated in Arden's chest. Found you where? She managed. Briar's discomfort was palpable now. Other diners were watching. The maitre d' was approaching, clearly ready to intervene. But something in Arden's face, some raw desperation, made the young woman answer. A state orphanage in Pennsylvania. She adopted me when I was 8. Look, I really should... Mom? Alistair's voice was low, urgent. Not here. He was right. Arden knew he was right. This wasn't the place. These weren't the circumstances. But 21 years of grief didn't care about propriety. She forced herself to take a breath. Then another. Her business training kicked in. The mask she'd perfected over 2 decades of board meetings and charity galas while dying inside. I apologize, Arden said, her voice steadying. You must think I'm insane. No, ma'am, not at all. But Briar's eyes said otherwise. Arden reached into her Hermes bag with trembling fingers and pulled out her card case. She extracted a heavy cream business card embossed with gold lettering and held it out. If you could, I'd like to speak with you. About the ring. It's important. Please. Briar hesitated, clearly thinking this was some kind of test or trap. But eventually, she took the card, read it. Her eyebrows rose slightly, recognizing the name. Probably. Caldwell Properties wasn't exactly unknown in Manhattan. I work most days, Briar said carefully. But I guess I could... anytime, anywhere, please. The desperation in Arden's voice made Alistair wince. Briar nodded slowly, pocketed the card, and retreated with the kind of grace someone develops when they've spent years being invisible in expensive restaurants. The moment she was gone, Arden's composure shattered. She stood abruptly, nearly knocking over her chair. I need to leave. I'll handle this, Alistair told the bewildered business associates, already guiding his mother toward the exit. Emergency. We'll reschedule. In the elevator. Arden finally let the tears come. Silent, streaming down carefully made-up cheeks. Alistair didn't speak. What could he say? He'd been 6 years old when his twin sister vanished. He had maybe 3 clear memories of her, and half the time he wondered if they were real or constructed from photographs and stories. But he knew the ring. His mother had shown him pictures 1,000 times. Custom made, one of a kind. It could be a coincidence, he said quietly as the elevator descended. Arden laughed. A broken, terrible sound. You don't believe that any more than I do. No, he didn't. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Arden walked out into the November afternoon like a woman in a trance, her entire world tilting on its axis. 21 years ago, she'd left her 6-year-old twins playing in the backyard while she ran to buy fresh bread. 20 minutes, that's all it was supposed to be. When she came back, her daughter was gone. Now, impossibly, a ring she'd commissioned for a child who'd disappeared without a trace, sat on a stranger's finger in a Manhattan restaurant. Coincidences like that didn't exist, which meant either she was losing her mind, or the universe had just handed her a second chance. Arden didn't sleep that night. She stood in her home office in Greenwich, Connecticut, surrounded by boxes she hadn't opened in years. The kind of boxes people kept in attics and basements, filled with things too painful to look at, but impossible to throw away. Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid off the first one. Photographs spilled out like memories made solid. Birthday parties with too much cake and not enough candles. Halloween costumes. Alistair as a dinosaur. Lyra as a fairy with glittering wings. Christmas mornings with wrapping paper scattered like snow across hardwood floors. And there, in a silver frame she'd wrapped in tissue paper a decade ago, was the photo she'd been looking for. 6-year-old Lyra grinned at the camera, missing her 2 front teeth, dark hair and pigtails, gray eyes bright with mischief. And there, on her left hand, fingers splayed to show off her treasure, the butterfly ring. Arden traced her daughter's face through the glass. 21 years hadn't dulled the ache. If anything, it had sharpened it, honed it into something that lived in her bones. I knew I'd find you here. She turned to find Alistair in the doorway, still wearing his shirt and slacks from earlier, tie loosened. Looking exhausted, he'd driven her home from the city, settled her in, then disappeared into his own wing of the house. She'd thought he'd gone to bed hours ago. Couldn't sleep either, she asked. Not really. He stepped into the office, hands in his pockets, studying the chaos of memory spread across the floor. You planning to tell me what you're thinking, or should I just guess? Arden set down the photograph carefully. I'm thinking that ring didn't appear on that girl's finger by accident. Mom, don't. She held up a hand. Don't tell me it could be a coincidence. Don't tell me I'm seeing things that aren't there. I made that ring, Alistair. I designed it. There isn't another one like it in the world. Okay. He sat down in the leather chair across from her desk, running both hands through his dark hair. So, let's say you're right. Let's say, somehow, impossibly, that's the same ring. What does that mean? It means she might be... Arden couldn't finish the sentence. Saying it out loud felt dangerous, like it might shatter the possibility. Lyra, Alistair finished quietly. You think that waitress might be Lyra? The name hung between them like a ghost. Arden had spent 21 years wondering if her daughter was alive or dead. The police investigation had gone nowhere. No witnesses. No ransom demands. No body. Just silence that grew louder with each passing year. Her husband Harlan had died 5 years after Lyra's disappearance, his heart giving out under the weight of unanswered questions. Arden had survived by building walls around the grief, by focusing on Alistair, by pretending she was fine, but she wasn't fine. She'd never been fine. I know how this sounds, she said. I know we've had false leads before. That was an understatement. Over the years, there'd been 3 supposed sightings. Twice. Desperate hope had led to crushing disappointment. The third time, it had been a con artist trying to extort money from a grieving mother. After that, Arden had learned to bury the hope deeper. But this was different. The ring is real, she continued. I can prove that. And she said her grandmother found her at an orphanage in Pennsylvania, found her wearing the ring when she was a child. Alistair leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You want to pursue this? I have to. And if it's not her, if it's just some incredible coincidence, or someone who somehow got hold of a ring that looks like the one you made, then I'll survive the disappointment again. Arden's voice cracked slightly. But if there's even a chance, even the smallest possibility that my daughter is alive and I do nothing, I won't survive that. He studied his mother's face. She looked older than she had that morning. The careful makeup couldn't hide the exhaustion in her eyes, the desperate hope warring with terror of being hurt again. Okay, Alistair said finally. What do you need me to do? The relief that flooded through Arden was physical. You believe me. I believe you deserve answers. And honestly, he glanced at the photographs scattered across the floor. I barely remember her. I was 6, but I remember that ring. I remember you putting it on her finger and telling her it was magic, that it would always bring her home. Arden's breath caught. She'd forgotten she'd said that. How strange that her son remembered when she didn't. I'm going back to the restaurant tomorrow, she said. I'll wait for her shift if I have to. I need to talk to her properly, learn more about where she came from. And then, I don't know, DNA test. Maybe if she'll agree to it? Alistair nodded slowly. This could go sideways in about 100 different ways. I know. The media could get hold of it. You could end up looking crazy, desperate, pathetic. I know. Arden straightened her shoulders. I don't care. He smiled slightly. Yeah, I figured. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of 21 years of absence pressing down on them both. Do you ever think about her? Arden asked quietly. Your sister. Alistair was quiet for a long time. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm remembering her or remembering pictures of her. But yeah, I think about her. I think about how different things might have been if she'd just stayed, if Arden hadn't left them alone for 20 minutes. If their Aunt Meredith had been watching more carefully, if the universe had been kinder. Tell me something, Alistair said. When you looked at that waitress today, at Briar, did you see Lyra? Arden closed her eyes, bringing back the image, gray eyes, the tilt of the head, something in the bone structure that made her heart stutter. I saw possibility, she whispered. I saw what Lyra might have become if she'd had the chance to grow up. It wasn't quite an answer, but it was the truth. Alistair stood, moving to the window, Greenwich spread below, all manicured lawns and quiet wealth. You know Aunt Meredith is going to lose her mind when she hears about this. Meredith can deal with it. She's been managing the family finances since Dad died. If Lyra suddenly reappears as a legitimate heir, then she'll have to adjust. Arden's voice hardened. This isn't about money or inheritance. This is about my daughter. I know that. I'm just saying, be prepared for pushback. Arden gathered up the photographs. placing them carefully back in the box, all except the one of Lyra with her ring. That one she kept out, setting it on her desk where she could see it. "Go to bed," she told her son. "Tomorrow's going to be a long day. What are you going to do? Sit here a while longer, think, pray maybe?" She smiled weakly. "It's been a long time since I've prayed for anything." Alistair kissed the top of her head, something he'd done since he'd grown tall enough to do so, and left her alone with her ghosts. Arden picked up the photograph again, studying every detail of her daughter's 6-year-old face. "If that's you," she whispered to the image. "If somehow, impossibly you found your way back, I promise I won't let you go again." The butterfly ring in the photo seemed to catch the lamplight, glinting like it was trying to tell her something. Tomorrow? She'd find out what. Arden returned to the Imperial Terrace the next afternoon, dressed more casually this time. Tailored slacks and a cashmere sweater in dove gray. She'd called ahead, spoken to the manager, and learned that Briar Holloway worked the lunch shift on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Dinner service Wednesday through Saturday. It was Thursday. Lunch rush had just ended. The maitre d' recognized her immediately, his expression carefully neutral. Word had clearly spread about yesterday's incident with the broken wine glass and the strange interrogation of the staff. "Mrs. Caldwell, welcome back. Would you like your usual table?" "Actually, I was hoping to speak with one of your servers, Briar Holloway. Is she available?" A flicker of something, concern maybe, crossed his face. "Is there a problem with her service?" "No, nothing like that. It's personal." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll check if she's on break." 5 minutes later, Briar appeared from the kitchen, still wearing her uniform, looking wary. She approached Arden's corner table with the cautious steps of someone who'd learned not to trust good fortune. "Mrs. Caldwell, please, sit." Arden gestured to the chair across from her. "I won't keep you long. I need to ask you some questions about your past." Briar remained standing. "With respect, ma'am, I don't really know you. And yesterday was... I know how it must have seemed." Arden took a breath, choosing her words carefully. 21 years ago, I had a daughter. She disappeared the last time I saw her. She was wearing a ring identical to yours, custom-made, one of a kind." Understanding flickered across Briar's face, followed quickly by sympathy and something that looked like panic. "I'm sorry that happened to you," Briar said quietly, "but I don't think I can help. Please, just 5 minutes. Answer a few questions, and if you want nothing more to do with me after that, I'll respect it. I promise." Briar glanced back toward the kitchen, weighing her options. Finally, she pulled out the chair and sat, perched on the edge like she might need to bolt at any moment. 5 minutes. "You said your grandmother found you at an orphanage in Pennsylvania. Do you remember the name?" "St. Catherine's, outside of Pittsburgh. It closed down about 10 years ago." Arden pulled out her phone, made a note. "And you were 8 when she adopted you?" "Yeah, November 2005. The timeline was wrong. Lyra had disappeared in October 2003. She would have been in the system for 2 years before this grandmother appeared." "Do you remember anything from before the orphanage? Anything at all?" Briar's expression shuddered. "No. The psychologist I saw back then said it was trauma, that my brain blocked it out. I have maybe fragments, a blue room, the smell of something baking, but nothing clear, nothing I can trust." "What about the ring? Did your grandmother tell you anything else about it?" "Just that I was wearing it when they found me. She said I wouldn't let anyone take it off, that I screamed whenever they tried, so they let me keep it." Briar touched the ring unconsciously, a protective gesture. "It's the only thing I have from before." Arden's chest tightened. That sounded exactly like something her daughter would have done. Lyra had been stubborn, fierce about the things she loved. "Your grandmother, what was her name?" "Eleanor Holloway. She died 3 years ago, cancer." "I'm sorry." "Yeah, well," Briar's voice was flat. "She wasn't exactly warm and fuzzy, but she kept me fed and housed. That's more than a lot of foster kids get." The bitterness in those words spoke volumes. Arden wanted to ask more, about Briar's childhood, her life, whether Eleanor Holloway had been kind or cruel or something in between, but she could see the walls going up, see Briar preparing to end this conversation. "Would you be willing to take a DNA test?" Arden asked quickly. a simple cheek swab. It could tell us definitively if I'm your missing daughter. Briar stood abruptly. Mrs. Caldwell, I appreciate what you've been through. I really do. But I can't be what you're looking for. I'm nobody. I work double shifts to afford a room I share with 2 other people in Queens. I never finished college. I don't remember my past. I'm not some miracle reunion story. You might be, or I might just be someone who happens to own a ring that looks like your daughter's. And then what? You get your hopes up. I get dragged into something I don't understand, and we both end up disappointed. Briar shook her head. I can't afford that kind of chaos in my life right now. She turned to leave. Please, Arden said, and something in her voice made Briar stop. I know I'm asking a lot. I know this is strange and invasive and probably terrifying. But what if you are her? What if you're my Lyra? Don't you want to know where you came from? Briar's shoulders were rigid. When she turned back, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Every day, she whispered. Every single day I wonder who I was, who my parents were, why they didn't come looking for me. But wanting to know and being able to handle the truth are 2 different things. Then let me help you find out. Whatever the truth is, we'll face it together. Why do you even care? You don't know me. Because if there's even a chance you're my daughter, I can't walk away. And because Arden stood, closing the distance between them carefully. Because when I look at you, I see her. In your eyes. The way you tilt your head when you're thinking. Something I can't quite name but recognize all the same. Briar wiped at her eyes roughly. This is insane. I know. If I do this, and I'm not saying I will, but if I did, what would you want from me? Nothing. Just the truth. If the test shows we're not related, I'll thank you for your time and leave you alone. But if it shows we are, Arden's voice cracked, then maybe we could get to know each other. Maybe you could let me be part of your life. No pressure, no expectations, just a chance. Briar was quiet for a long moment, studying Arden's face like she was trying to solve a puzzle. I need to think about it, she said finally. Of course, take all the time you need. Arden pulled out another business card, writing on the back, That's my personal cell. Call me anytime, day or night. Briar took the card, looked at it, then back at Arden. Can I ask you something? Anything. If I am her, if I'm your daughter, why don't I remember you? The question hit Arden like a physical blow. I don't know, but I'd like to help you figure it out. Briar nodded slowly, tucked the card into her apron pocket, and walked back toward the kitchen without another word. Arden sank back into her chair, her hands shaking. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. It was possibility. Her phone buzzed. A text from Alistair. How'd it go? She's thinking about it. Arden typed back. That's something. Yes, it was something. More than she'd had 24 hours ago. More than she'd had in 21 years. Arden gathered her things and left the restaurant. Stepping out into the crisp November air, Manhattan hummed around her, indifferent to the small miracle that might be taking shape in a corner booth of an upscale dining room. She looked up at the gray sky and allowed herself something she hadn't permitted in years. Hope. 3 days passed before Briar called. Arden had almost given up hope when her phone rang at 9 o'clock on Sunday evening. An unknown number. She answered on the second ring. Hello? Mrs. Caldwell. It's Briar. A pause. Holloway, from the restaurant. Arden's heart stuttered. Briar, thank you for calling. Yeah, well, the young woman sounded nervous. I've been thinking about what you said, about the DNA test, and I think I want to do it. I need to know, one way or another. Of course, absolutely. I can arrange everything. There's a clinic in Boston that's very discreet. I have one condition. Arden stopped mid-sentence. What is it? I want to see where you live first. Where your daughter grew up. I need to, I don't know, see if anything feels familiar. I guess before we make it official with tests and everything, it was a reasonable request. More than reasonable. Of course, Arden said. Whenever you're available, I'll send a car. I can take the train. Please let me send a car, it's the least I can do. Another pause. Then, quietly, okay, thank you. They arranged for the following Tuesday, Briar's day off. Arden spent the intervening time in a state of controlled chaos, preparing the house, reviewing photos, trying not to let herself spiral into what-ifs and maybes. Alistair watched her with quiet concern. "You're setting yourself up for a fall," he said Monday evening, finding her rearranging picture frames in the library. "I'm being prepared. You're being obsessive," but his tone was gentle. "I just don't want to see you devastated if this doesn't go the way you're hoping." "I know the odds," Arden said, placing a photo of 6-year-old Lyra on the bookshelf. "But I have to try." Tuesday arrived cold and bright. The car service called at 10:15 to say they'd picked up Miss Holloway in Queens. Estimated arrival, 11:30. Arden changed outfits 3 times before settling on simple dark jeans and a cream sweater. Casual, approachable, not trying too hard. When the black sedan pulled through the gates of the Greenwich estate, Arden watched from the window. Briar emerged slowly, staring up at the 3-story colonial with obvious discomfort. The driver offered to carry her bag, a worn backpack, but she shook her head. Shouldering it herself, Arden opened the door before Briar could knock. "Welcome," she said, stepping back. "Please, come in." Briar entered like she was walking into a museum. Her eyes swept over the marble entryway, the curved staircase, the crystal chandelier that had cost more than she probably made in a year. "This is... wow," she breathed. "It's too much house for 2 people, Arden admitted. "But it's been in the family for years. My husband inherited it from his father. 2 people. My son Alistair and me. He has his own wing." Arden gestured toward the east side of the house. "Though he's in the city today, business meetings." She'd asked him to make himself scarce, actually. This needed to happen without an audience. "Can I get you something? Coffee? Tea? Water would be great." They moved to the kitchen, though calling it a kitchen felt inadequate. It was a showpiece of white marble, professional-grade appliances, and windows overlooking gardens that were still beautiful even in late autumn. Briar accepted the glass of water and took a long drink, clearly buying time. "Would you like a tour?" Arden asked. "Sure, yeah, that'd be good." They moved through the house slowly. Living room with its grand piano, formal dining room that seated 12, the library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and leather furniture. Briar touched nothing, keeping her hands clasped in front of her like she was afraid she might break something. But when they reached the 2nd floor, and Arden opened the door to what had been Lyra's bedroom, preserved exactly as it had been 21 years ago, something shifted. The room was painted pale blue, white furniture, a canopy bed with sheer curtains, shelves lined with books and stuffed animals, a child's room frozen in time. Briar stopped in the doorway, her breath catching. "This was hers," she whispered. "Yes, we haven't changed anything." Briar stepped inside slowly, her eyes moving over every detail. She paused at the bookshelf, fingers hovering over the spines. Dr. Seuss, The Chronicles of Narnia, a collection of fairy tales with a worn cover. "She liked butterflies," Briar asked, pointing to the mobile hanging above the bed. Dozens of paper butterflies in every color. "Obsessed with them." Arden smiled at the memory. That summer, she insisted on catching them in the garden. She'd hold them for a moment, then let them go. She said they were too beautiful to keep. Briar's hand went to the ring on her finger. Turning it unconsciously, they continued the tour. Arden pointed out the backyard where the twins had played, the tree they'd climbed, the spot where Lyra had buried a time capsule that they'd never unearthed. "I thought maybe someday she'd come back and we'd dig it up together," Arden said quietly. Briar didn't respond, but her eyes were suspiciously bright. Back inside, Arden suggested they sit in the library. It felt less formal than the living room, more comfortable. She'd laid out photo albums on the coffee table. A risky move, maybe, but necessary. "These are from when Lyra and Alistair were young," Arden explained, opening the first album. "If you want to look through them, you're welcome to." Briar sat on the edge of the leather sofa, pulling the album closer. She turned pages slowly, studying each photo, birthday parties, Halloween, Christmas morning chaos. And then she stopped. "What is it?" Arden asked. Briar was staring at a photo of Lyra at age 5, grinning gap-toothed at the camera, holding up a drawing she'd made. "I don't know," Briar said slowly. "Something about this picture. I feel like I've seen it before. But that's impossible, right? Not if you're her. Briar looked up sharply. I don't want to be what you're looking for just because you need me to be. I know. I don't want that either. I want the truth. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Briar reached for the zipper of her hoodie. It's warm in here, she mumbled, shrugging out of the sweatshirt. She wore a thin tank top underneath, and there, on her left shoulder, partially visible above the strap, Arden's breath stopped. A birthmark, small, dark, roughly the shape of a crescent moon, exactly like Lyra's. Briar, Arden whispered, her voice strangled. Your shoulder? What? Briar glanced down, then touched the mark self-consciously. Oh yeah, I've always had this weird birthmark. Kind of looks like a moon or something. I used to hate it when I was younger. Arden stood on shaking legs, moving to one of the bookshelves. She pulled down a photo album she'd hidden there, one she looked at only on the hardest nights. She flipped it open to a specific page and brought it to Briar. Look, she said, pointing to a photo of Lyra at the beach, age 4, wearing a little swimsuit, on her left shoulder, an identical crescent-shaped birthmark. Briar stared at the photo, then at her own shoulder, then back at the photo. That's the same, she breathed. Exactly the same. From the doorway, a voice. Holy shit. Both women turned. Alistair stood there, still in his work clothes, clearly having come home earlier than planned. His eyes were fixed on Briar's shoulder, his face pale. I remember that, he said hoarsely. I used to tell Lyra she had the moon living on her shoulder. We'd play this game where I'd try to catch it and she'd run away laughing. Briar touched the birthmark again, her hand trembling. This doesn't mean... But her voice trailed off, because what else could it mean? A custom ring that shouldn't exist. A birthmark in the exact same place with the exact same shape. Gray eyes and dark hair, and a way of tilting her head that made Arden's heart ache with recognition. I think we need that DNA test, Arden said quietly. Don't you? Briar looked between them. This elegant woman with desperate hope in her eyes, and this tall, handsome man who was staring at her like he was seeing a ghost. Yeah, she whispered. Yeah, I think we do. The DNA testing clinic in Boston was sterile and cold. All white walls and fluorescent lighting that made everyone look slightly ill. Arden had chosen it specifically because they promised discretion and fast results. 72 hours instead of the usual 2 weeks. 72 hours felt like an eternity. They'd driven up together that Wednesday morning. Arden, Alistair, and Briar, who'd sat in the back seat of Arden's Mercedes, staring out the window and saying almost nothing. The silence wasn't hostile. Exactly. Just heavy with the weight of what they were about to do. The technician was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and efficient hands. She explained the process, simple cheek swabs, nothing invasive, and had them sign consent forms. We'll contact you as soon as the results are ready, she said. Is there a preferred method? Email, phone. Phone, Arden said immediately. Call me directly. They drove back to Greenwich in the same loaded silence. Briar had taken another day off work. She'd been vague about why, telling her manager she had a family emergency, which wasn't entirely a lie, though she wasn't ready to explain the truth. When Arden invited her to stay at the house while they waited for results, Briar hesitated. I don't want to impose. You're not imposing, Alistair said from the driver's seat. It was the first time he'd spoken directly to her all day. There's like 6 empty bedrooms. 7, actually. You could have your pick. Briar shifted uncomfortably. I've got to work Friday and Saturday nights. We'll drive you, Arden said. Or send a car. Whatever you prefer. Why are you being so nice to me? The question hung in the air. Alistair glanced at his mother in the rearview mirror. Because whether the test confirms it or not, Arden said quietly, you've already given me something I haven't had in 21 years. Hope. That's worth being kind for. Briar's eyes filled with tears. She quickly blinked away. She stayed. The next 3 days were surreal. Briar wandered the massive house like a ghost, still afraid to touch anything, still feeling like she didn't belong. But slowly, in small moments, something began to shift. Arden made breakfast Thursday morning. Nothing fancy, just scrambled eggs and toast. And Briar found herself relaxing at the kitchen island, telling stories about the restaurant, about her regulars, about the chef who yelled in Italian when orders backed up. Alistair came home early that evening and found them watching a cooking show together, Briar pointing out everything the TV chef was doing wrong. "You cook?" he asked. "Had to learn. Group homes and foster care don't exactly prioritize nutrition." She shrugged. "I'm pretty good, actually. Used to think about going to culinary school, but what? Money, time, life getting in the way, the usual." Friday morning, Arden found Briar in the library, curled up in the window seat with one of Lyra's old books. The Secret Garden. Was this her favorite? Briar asked, holding it up. One of them. She must have read it a dozen times. "I love this book," Briar said softly. "I don't remember when I first read it, but I've read it over and over. It always made me feel, I don't know, less alone." Arden had to leave the room before she started crying. That night, Briar worked her shift at the Imperial Terrace. Arden's driver took her and picked her up. When she returned at midnight, exhausted and smelling like expensive food she couldn't afford to eat, she found Alistair still awake in the library, working on his laptop. "You didn't have to wait up," she said. "Wasn't waiting up, just working late." But he closed the laptop. "How was it?" "Weird. Kept thinking about how different my life might have been if..." She trailed off, shaking her head. "Never mind. That's not helpful." "No, it's normal." He paused. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. If the test comes back positive, if you are Lyra, what happens then? What do you want?" Briar sank into the chair across from him, pulling her knees to her chest. "Honestly, I have no idea. This whole thing is so far outside anything I ever imagined. A week ago, I was just a waitress trying to make rent. Now I'm sitting in a mansion waiting to find out if I'm the long-lost daughter of a woman I don't remember. That's a lot." "Yeah," she laughed. But there was no humor in it. "What about you? If I am your sister, how do you feel about that?" Alistair considered the question carefully. "Honestly, part of me is terrified. I don't remember Lyra, not really. I've spent my whole life as an only child, basically. And my mom, she's been broken by this for 21 years. If you're really Lyra and something goes wrong, if you decide you don't want to be part of this family, it might actually destroy her." "No pressure then," Briar said dryly. "But," he continued, "another part of me is hopeful. I've always felt like something was missing, like there was supposed to be someone else. And maybe that's just because I grew up hearing about Lyra, but maybe it's something deeper." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "I won't hurt her," Briar said quietly. "Your mom. Whatever happens, whatever the test says, I won't just disappear on her. I promise." "Thank you." Saturday dragged by. Sunday was worse. The clinic had said 72 hours, and 72 hours would be up Monday morning. Arden barely slept Sunday night. She was in the kitchen at 6 a.m., making coffee. She didn't drink when her phone rang. The clinic. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. She answered, putting it on speaker because she couldn't steady her grip. "Mrs. Caldwell, this is Dr. Martinez from the Boston Genetics Lab. I have your results." "Yes." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm calling to confirm that we've completed the maternal DNA comparison between yourself and Miss Briar Holloway." And a pause that lasted forever. "The results show a 99.9% probability of a biological mother-daughter relationship. Mrs. Caldwell, Miss Holloway is your daughter." The phone slipped from Arden's fingers, clattering on the marble counter. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world had narrowed to those words. "Miss Holloway is your daughter." Lyra was alive. Her baby was alive. She heard footsteps thundering down the stairs. Alistair appeared in the doorway, already dressed for work, his face tense with anticipation. "Mom, was that..." Arden couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears streaming down her face. Alistair's knees buckled. He grabbed the counter for support. Briar is... "Your sister," Arden managed. "She's your sister." More footsteps, lighter this time. Briar appeared, wearing pajamas Arden had lent her, her hair messy from sleep, looking terrified. "What's happening? I heard running." She saw Arden's face. "Oh God, the results came." Arden crossed the kitchen in 3 steps and pulled Briar into her arms. The young woman went rigid with shock, then slowly, tentatively, wrapped her arms around Arden in return. "You're my daughter," Arden sobbed into her hair. "You're my Lyra. You came back to me. You came back." Briar was crying too, her whole body shaking. "I don't understand. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. You're here. You're alive. That's all that matters." Alistair joined the embrace, wrapping his long arms around both of them, and for the first time in 21 years, Arden felt whole. They stood there in the kitchen as morning light spilled through the windows. 3 people who'd been broken by loss finally finding their way back to each other. Later, there would be questions, investigations, legal proceedings. The world would want answers about how a 6-year-old could vanish and reappear as a stranger. But right now, in this moment, there was only relief and wonder, and the impossible miracle of a family reunited. Briar pulled back slightly, wiping her eyes. "I still want to be called Briar," she said. "It's who I've been for most of my life. Is that okay?" Arden cupped her daughter's face in her hands. "You can be whoever you want to be. You're still my daughter. That's all I need to know." The euphoria lasted exactly 3 days before reality set in. Arden wanted answers, not just about the DNA results. Those were irrefutable, but about everything else. How had Lyra ended up in a Pennsylvania orphanage? Who had taken her? Why had there been no ransom, no contact, no trail for the police to follow? She hired the best private investigation firm in New York, former FBI agents, forensic specialists, people who knew how to dig through decades-old records and find what others had missed. Their first report arrived on Thursday. Arden sat in her home office with Alistair, spreading documents across her desk while Briar was at work. She'd insisted on keeping her restaurant shifts, needing some semblance of normalcy, while her entire world reorganized itself around this new truth. St. Catherine's Orphanage closed in 2014, Arden read aloud from the report. But we managed to track down the former director, Sister Margaret Brennan. She's in a nursing home in Philadelphia now, but her memory is sharp. "What did she say?" Alistair asked. "That Briar, Lyra, was brought to them in late 2003 by a woman claiming to be a social worker. The woman had paperwork, seemingly legitimate, saying the child had been found abandoned. No parents, no identification, just a first name, Lyra. The paperwork was fake, completely. The signatures were forged. The case numbers didn't exist in any system, but St. Catherine's was understaffed and overwhelmed. They didn't check as carefully as they should have." Alistair ran his hands through his hair. "So someone went through the trouble of creating false documents, dropping her at an orphanage and just walking away? Why not just kill her if they wanted her gone?" The words were brutal, but necessary. Arden had been thinking the same thing. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't go through with it. Maybe the plan changed. Maybe... She stopped, a new thought occurring to her. Maybe someone wanted to get paid and needed her alive to prove they'd done the job. What job? "We never got a ransom demand." "No, we didn't." Arden flipped to another page. "But your father had debts I didn't know about. The investigators found records. Harlan was into some dangerous people for a lot of money." Alistair's face hardened. "Dad, apparently he made some bad investments, borrowed from the wrong sources to cover them. By 2003, he was in deep." Arden's voice was bitter. "I had no idea. He hid it from me completely. You think someone took Lyra because of his debts? I think it's possible." The office door opened. Neither of them had heard the front door, but there stood Briar, still in her work uniform, her face pale. "Sorry," she said quietly. "I came in through the back. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I heard my name, Lyra's name." Arden stood quickly. "How much did you hear?" "Enough." Briar stepped into the room. "You think I was taken because your husband, because my father, owed money to criminals. There was no point in lying. We're not sure, but it's a theory." Briar sank into a chair, processing this. "So I wasn't kidnapped by some random predator. I was collateral. Payment for a debt. We don't know that for certain. But it makes sense, doesn't it?" Briar's voice was hollow. "It explains why there was no ransom demand. Someone already got what they wanted. They got me instead of money." Alistair crouched beside her chair. "Hey, whatever happened back then, It wasn't your fault, and it wasn't Mom's either. I know that. Logically, I know that. Briar looked at Arden. But someone took me. Someone forged documents and dumped me in an orphanage and let you think I was dead for 21 years. And we need to find out who. The investigators are working on it, Arden said. They're tracking down everyone your father owed money to. Everyone who... What about Eleanor? Briar interrupted. Eleanor. The woman who adopted me. Eleanor Holloway. Did they look into her? Arden exchanged a glance with Alistair. Not yet, should they? Briar's jaw tightened. She told me she found me at St. Catherine's and felt sorry for me, that she'd never had children and wanted to give me a home. But now I'm wondering, what if that's not the whole story? What if she knew something? She's dead, Alistair pointed out gently. We can't exactly ask her. No, but we can investigate her. Briar stood. I want to know everything about her. Where she came from, how she made her money, who she knew, because I lived with that woman for almost 20 years, and I realized something today. I barely knew anything about her. She never talked about her past, never had friends over, never mentioned family. Arden was already reaching for her phone. I'll call the investigators right now. The investigation into Eleanor Holloway took a week. What they found was disturbing. Eleanor Holloway had been born Eleanor Vance in rural Pennsylvania in 1949. She'd married young, divorced young, and spent most of her adult life working various low-level jobs, retail, cleaning services, eventually as a night custodian at St. Catherine's Orphanage. That's how she had access, the lead investigator explained during a conference call. She worked there from 2001 to 2005. She would have known about Lyra when she arrived, would have seen the paperwork, or lack thereof. So she knew the adoption was irregular, Arden asked. Almost certainly, but here's where it gets interesting. In 2005, right around when she officially adopted Briar, Eleanor came into a significant amount of money. $50,000 deposited into her bank account in cash over the course of 3 months. Briar, listening on speaker, went very still. Someone paid her, she whispered. Someone paid her to take me. It's possible, the investigator agreed. Or it's possible she was blackmailing whoever dropped Lyra at the orphanage. Either way, the money allowed her to quit her job, move to a better apartment, and formally adopt you through somewhat questionable legal channels. Alistair leaned forward. Can you trace where the money came from? We're trying, but cash deposits from 2005 are hard to track. We're looking into Eleanor's known associates from that time period, seeing if anyone connects to your father's creditors. After the call ended, the three of them sat in heavy silence. She bought me, Briar said finally, her voice shaking. The woman who raised me literally bought me like I was property. We don't know that for sure, Arden started. Yes, we do. Briar stood abruptly, pacing. It all makes sense now. Why she was so cold. Why she never let me get close. Why she always made me feel like I owed her something. Because to her, I was an investment, a transaction. Arden wanted to comfort her daughter, but didn't know how. What could she say that wouldn't sound empty? Alistair tried. At least she kept you safe, fed you, housed you, got you through school. That's something. Is it? Briar's laugh was bitter. She did the bare minimum to keep her investment alive. Meanwhile, my real mother was out here grieving, thinking I was dead. I'm so sorry, Arden said, her voice breaking. If I had known, if I had looked harder, this isn't your fault. Briar stopped pacing, her expression softening slightly. But we need to find out who started all this. Who took me in the first place? Who paid Eleanor because someone out there knows what happened, and they've been getting away with it for 21 years. Arden stood, moving to her daughter's side. Then we'll find them. Whatever it takes, I promise you. Briar nodded. But her eyes were distant, already chasing shadows into the past. Somewhere in those shadows was the truth. And somewhere in that truth was the person who'd stolen a 6-year-old girl and shattered a family. It was time to drag them into the light. The investigators found the connection on a Tuesday afternoon. Arden was in a meeting with her lawyers, discussing the legal steps needed to formally restore Briar's identity as Lyra Caldwell, when her phone rang. The lead investigator, a former FBI agent named Marcus Chen. Mrs. Caldwell, we need to talk, in person, today, if possible. Something in his tone made her cancel the rest of her meetings. 2 hours later, Marcus sat in her living room with a file folder that looked like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Alistair had rushed home from the city. Briar had called out sick from work. They all sat together, waiting. "I'm going to be direct," Marcus said. "We found the link between your husband's debts and your daughter's disappearance, and it's not what you're expecting." Arden's hands gripped the armrests of her chair. "Tell me, your husband owed money to a man named Vincent Caruso, small-time loan shark, mostly operated in Colorado in the early 2000s. Harlan borrowed $50,000 from him in 2002 to cover some failed investments by October 2003, with interest. The debt had ballooned to over $100,000. "My father didn't have that kind of money," Alistair said. "No, he didn't. Caruso was putting pressure on him, threatening to hurt his family if he didn't pay." Marcus paused. "But here's where it gets complicated. Caruso didn't arrange Lyra's kidnapping." "Then who did?" Briar demanded. Marcus looked uncomfortable. "Someone close to your family. Someone who had access to the house that day. Someone who knew Harlan's financial situation and saw an opportunity." Arden felt ice spreading through her veins. "Who?" "Your sister-in-law, Meredith Caldwell?" The name hung in the air like poison. "No," Arden whispered. "That's impossible. Meredith was watching the children that day. She was the one who called the police. She was devastated. She was also the one who brokered a deal with Caruso." Marcus opened the folder, pulling out bank statements. "We found records of phone calls between Meredith and Caruso in the weeks before Lyra disappeared, and we found a payment, $100,000, deposited into Meredith's account 2 weeks after the kidnapping, transferred from one of Caruso's shell companies." Alistair stood up abruptly. "You're saying our aunt sold Lyra to pay off our father's debt?" "Not exactly. We think she offered Caruso something valuable as collateral, your sister, to buy Harlan more time. But then Caruso decided to take the collateral and run. He had someone grab Lyra, forge the orphanage documents, and Meredith got her money for facilitating the deal. Briar looked like she might be sick. She sold me. My own aunt sold me. It gets worse," Marcus continued grimly. "Meredith has been managing your family's finances since Harlan died in 2008, correct?" "Yes," Arden said faintly. "She's been embezzling, not massive amounts. She was too smart for that, but consistent withdrawals over the years. Our forensic accountant estimates she's taken close to $2 million from the family trusts." The room spun. Arden couldn't process it. Meredith. Cold, efficient Meredith who'd stood beside her at Harlan's funeral, who'd helped raise Alistair, who'd been part of their family for decades. "Where is she now?" Alistair's voice was dangerous. "Her apartment in the city. We have someone watching her. She doesn't know we're onto her yet. I want to talk to her," Arden said, standing. "Face to face today. Mrs. Caldwell, I'd advise against—" "I don't care. Get her here now." Marcus looked at Alistair, who nodded grimly. "Do it. Bring her here." An hour later, Meredith Caldwell walked into the house she'd visited hundreds of times over the years, completely unaware of what was waiting for her. She was 55, dressed in her usual black suit, silver hair pulled back severely. She'd always reminded Arden of a bird of prey. Sharp features, calculating eyes. "Arden, what's this about?" "Your investigator was very cryptic." She stopped when she saw everyone assembled in the living room. "What's going on?" "Sit down, Meredith," Arden said. Something in her tone made Meredith pause. "Is this about the girl? The waitress you've been obsessing over?" "Her name is Briar," Alistair said coldly. "Or did you forget? She also goes by her birth name, Lyra." Meredith went very still. The DNA test came back. "Yes. She's my daughter, your niece, the child who disappeared 21 years ago while under your care." Arden's voice was like steel. "The child you helped kidnap. That's ridiculous. We have phone records." Marcus interrupted, stepping forward. "We have bank statements. We have testimony from Vincent Caruso's former associate, who's willing to testify that you facilitated the deal." Meredith's face drained of color. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then she laughed. A harsh, brittle sound. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Then explain it to us," Briar said, standing. "Explain how I ended up in an orphanage. Explain the $100,000. Explain why you've been stealing from this family for years." Meredith's eyes darted between them. calculating. Arden could see her trying to find an angle, a way out, but there wasn't one. Finally, she sank into a chair, her rigid posture collapsing. "It wasn't supposed to go like that," she said quietly. "Then how was it supposed to go?" Arden demanded. Meredith's hands twisted in her lap. "Harlan came to me. Desperate? He'd borrowed from Caruso and couldn't pay. Caruso was threatening him, threatening all of you. I tried to help, but I didn't have that kind of money either. So, you offered him my daughter?" "No. I offered to broker a deal. Caruso wanted collateral, something valuable that would ensure Harlan paid. I thought he'd just scare Harlan, take Lyra for a few days, maybe a week until Harlan found the money somehow. But that's not what happened," Alistair said. "No." Meredith's voice cracked. "Caruso's man took her and just vanished. I called. I threatened. I tried everything. Caruso said the deal had changed. He'd keep the girl and sell her to someone else. By the time I realized what was happening, she was already gone. And you did nothing," Arden whispered. "You let me think my daughter was dead. You watched me grieve. You stood at my husband's funeral knowing you'd helped kill him. I was terrified. If I'd told the truth, I'd have gone to prison, and Lyra was already gone. I couldn't bring her back, I thought. I thought maybe it was better if you believed she was dead. At least then you could move on." "Move on?" Arden's voice rose. "You think I ever moved on? Every day for 21 years. I wondered if she was alive somewhere, scared, calling for me. And you knew. You knew. And you said nothing." Breyer was shaking. "You got paid. You took money for giving me to a monster. I didn't take it willingly. Caruso deposited it in my account, said it was to keep me quiet. And yes, I used it. Yes, I kept it. Because what was the alternative? Confessing and going to jail wouldn't have brought you back. So you just kept stealing," Alistair said. "From your own family, the family you betrayed." Meredith looked up at him with something like defiance. "I earned that money. Do you know how hard I've worked managing this estate? Keeping everything running after Harlan died? You deserved nothing." Arden's voice shook the room. "You sold my daughter, you destroyed my family, and then you had the audacity to profit from it." Meredith opened her mouth, then closed it. There was nothing left to say. Marcus stepped forward. "Meredith Caldwell, I'm placing you under citizen's arrest for kidnapping, fraud, and embezzlement. The police are on their way." Meredith didn't fight. She just sat there, looking smaller than Arden had ever seen her. When the police arrived 10 minutes later, she went quietly. At the door, she turned back one last time. "I am sorry," she said to Breyer. "For what it's worth, I really am." Breyer's voice was ice. "It's not worth anything." And then she was gone. The house fell silent except for the sound of Arden's ragged breathing. 21 years of questions, finally answered. But the answers brought no relief, only rage and grief, and the terrible knowledge that the person she trusted had been the architect of her worst nightmare. Alistair pulled both his mother and sister into his arms. They stood there, 3 people bound by blood and trauma, trying to find their way through the wreckage. Arden made the decision overnight. She'd spent hours alone in her office after Meredith's arrest, staring at photographs of Lyra, processing everything she'd learned. The betrayal cut deeper than she'd imagined possible. Not just what Meredith had done, but the years of deception that followed. The funeral where Meredith had held her hand, the holidays spent together, the trust Arden had placed in someone who'd sold her daughter. By dawn, grief had crystallized into resolve. She wasn't going to let this story be buried in legal proceedings and sealed court documents. The world needed to know what had happened. Other families needed to know. And Meredith needed to face public accountability for what she'd done. Arden called her lawyer at 7 a.m. "I want to hold a press conference, here at the house, as soon as possible. Arden, I'd strongly advise against..." "I'm not asking for advice. I'm telling you what's happening. Make the arrangements." By noon, the Greenwich estate was swarming with reporters. News vans lined the circular driveway. Cameras and microphones crowded the front lawn. The story had already leaked. Eris's long-lost daughter found alive after 21 years, and the media was hungry for details. Arden stood in front of her bathroom mirror, adjusting her navy suit jacket. She looked tired, older than her 50 years, but there was steel in her eyes that hadn't been there a month ago. A soft knock on the door. Briar appeared, dressed in simple black pants and a gray sweater that Arden had bought her. "You don't have to do this," Briar said. "The press conference, I can do it alone if you want." "Absolutely not. We do this together." Arden turned to face her daughter. "Are you ready?" "No, but I don't think I ever will be. So we might as well get it over with." Downstairs, Alistair was waiting in the foyer, looking sharp in a charcoal suit. He'd taken the week off work, telling his board of directors that family came first. For once, they hadn't argued. "The lawyers have the statements ready," he said. "But Mom, you know once you do this, there's no taking it back. Meredith's attorney will try to discredit you. The media will dig into everything. It's going to get ugly." "It's already ugly," Arden replied. "At least this way. The truth is on our terms." They walked out together, Arden in the center, flanked by her 2 children, and faced the wall of cameras and reporters. The questions started immediately, overlapping and chaotic. Arden raised her hand and the crowd quieted. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. 3 weeks ago, my life changed when I saw a ring, a unique piece of jewelry I'd commissioned 21 years ago for my daughter Lyra, on the hand of a young woman working in a Manhattan restaurant. Camera shutters clicked frantically. Reporters scribbled notes. "That young woman is standing beside me today. Her name is Briar Holloway. Though she was born Lyra Caldwell, DNA testing has confirmed with 99.9% certainty that she is my daughter, who disappeared from our home in Boulder, Colorado, on October 14th, 2003. Arden paused, letting that sink in. "For 21 years, I believed my daughter was likely dead. The police investigation went nowhere. There were no leads, no witnesses, no ransom demands. My family was shattered by this loss. My husband Harlan died 5 years later, never knowing what happened to his little girl." Her voice wavered slightly, but she pushed through. "Today, I can tell you what happened. Lyra was taken as collateral for a debt. Someone we trusted, my sister-in-law, Meredith Caldwell, facilitated her kidnapping in exchange for money. Lyra was then abandoned at a Pennsylvania orphanage under false documentation, where she remained until being adopted at age 8 by a woman who appears to have been paid to take her." The reporters erupted with questions. Arden ignored them, continuing. "Meredith Caldwell has been arrested and charged with kidnapping, conspiracy, fraud, and embezzlement. Evidence including phone records, bank statements, and witness testimony supports these charges. The investigation is ongoing, and we expect additional arrests as we identify everyone involved in this conspiracy." She turned to Briar, who stepped forward to the microphone. "My name is Briar," she said, her voice quieter than Arden's, but no less firm. "I don't remember being Lyra Caldwell. I don't remember my parents or my brother or the life I should have had. What I remember is growing up in institutions and group homes, never knowing where I came from, or who I was supposed to be." Her hands gripped the podium. "The woman who adopted me, Eleanor Holloway, died 3 years ago without ever telling me the truth about my origins. But even if she had, I'm not sure it would have mattered. The damage was done. I lost my family. They lost me. And we can never get those 21 years back." A reporter shouted, "How do you feel about your biological mother?" Briar glanced at Arden. "I'm still getting to know her. This is all very new and very overwhelming. But I'm grateful she never stopped looking, even when everyone told her to give up." Another reporter. "Will you reclaim the Caldwell name?" "I'll be legally recognized as Lyra Caldwell. Yes, but I'll continue going by Briar. It's who I've been for most of my life, and I'm not ready to give that up." "What about the Caldwell fortune? Are you now an heiress?" Alistair stepped to the microphone before Briar could answer. "My sister is, and always has been, an equal heir to the Caldwell estate. I've already instructed our attorneys to include her in all family trusts and business holdings. We're also working together to establish a foundation in her name, the Lyra Caldwell Foundation, dedicated to helping families of missing children and reforming adoption systems to prevent what happened to my sister from happening to others." This drew murmurs of approval from the crowd. A bold reporter called out, "Mrs. Caldwell, do you forgive your sister-in-law?" Arden was quiet for a moment. I don't know if I can forgive someone who watched me grieve for 21 years while hiding the truth, but I can choose not to let her actions consume me. I have my daughter back. That's what matters now. Do you have a message for other families with missing children? Yes. Arden's voice strengthened. Never stop looking. Never stop hoping. DNA testing technology has advanced dramatically in recent years. Databases that didn't exist 20 years ago are helping solve cold cases every day. If your child is missing, submit your DNA. Encourage your child, if they're old enough, to do the same. The truth might be waiting in a database somewhere. And if you're someone who was adopted or found in unusual circumstances and you don't know your origins, please consider getting tested. You might be someone's miracle. The press conference continued for another 30 minutes. Questions about the investigation, about Meredith's upcoming trial, about how Briar was adjusting to her new life. Arden and Alistair fielded most of them, protecting Briar when things got too invasive. Finally, Arden held up her hand. That's all we have time for today, thank you. They retreated into the house as the reporters continued shouting questions. Inside, the door closed and the noise muffled. Briar sagged against the wall. That was brutal, she breathed. You did great, Alistair assured her. Arden's phone was already ringing. Her lawyer, probably, or the investigators, or one of a dozen other people who'd want to discuss what had just happened. She silenced it. I need a drink, she announced. It's 2 p.m, Alistair pointed out. I don't care. They ended up in the library with a bottle of very expensive scotch that Harlan had been saving for a special occasion. If this didn't qualify, nothing would. To the truth, Arden said, raising her glass. However ugly it might be. To family, Alistair added. Briar looked at them both. These people who were still essentially strangers, but also her blood, her history, her future. To second chances, she said quietly. They drank. Outside, news vans were already broadcasting live updates. By evening, the story would be national news. By tomorrow, international. The Caldwell family's tragedy and reunion would become part of the public consciousness, dissected and discussed by millions. But in the library, surrounded by books and fading afternoon light, 3 people who'd been broken by loss began the slow, difficult work of becoming whole again. The media frenzy lasted 2 weeks before gradually dying down to a manageable hum. During that time, Briar's life transformed in ways she couldn't have imagined. She'd quit her job at the Imperial Terrace. The constant stares from customers and questions from coworkers made it impossible to work. Alistair had offered her a position in the family business, but she'd declined. Too much. Too fast. Instead, she'd asked for something simpler. Time. Time to process. Time to grieve the childhood she'd lost. Time to figure out who she was now that the truth had been revealed. Arden had given her that time without hesitation. Though it clearly pained her, every maternal instinct screamed to hover, to protect, to make up for 21 years of absence. But she'd forced herself to step back, to let Briar set the pace. They settled into a cautious routine, breakfast together most mornings. Briar exploring the house and grounds while Arden worked, dinner as a family when Alistair came home from the city, slow conversations that gradually built trust. Tell me about Eleanor, Arden asked one evening over pasta that Briar had insisted on cooking herself. Not the terrible parts, the normal parts. What was she like day to day? Briar considered this, twirling spaghetti on her fork. Practical, emotionally distant, but not cruel. She made sure I did my homework, got to school on time, had clothes that fit. We didn't talk much, didn't hug. Birthdays and holidays were acknowledged but not celebrated. That sounds lonely. It was, but I didn't know anything different, so I thought it was normal. Briar paused. She did teach me to cook, though. That was the one thing we did together. She'd let me help with dinner sometimes, showed me how to make her recipes. I think that was as close as she got to motherly. Arden's eyes were suspiciously bright. I'm glad you had at least that. What were you like? Briar asked. As a mom. Before. The question caught Arden off guard. I was probably too indulgent. You and Alistair had me wrapped around your little fingers. Your father used to joke that you'd convinced me the word no didn't exist. Alistair laughed. That tracks. I remember you let Lyra wear her fairy costume to the grocery store once because she insisted fairies needed to shop for pixie dust. which was apparently sugar. I forgot about that, Arden said, smiling despite her tears. You were embarrassed. You kept telling people she wasn't really your sister. I was 6 and thought having a sister who believed in magic was social suicide. Briar listened to this exchange with a strange ache in her chest. These were her memories they were discussing. Her childhood, but she had no access to them. Could only hear them secondhand like stories about someone else. I wish I remembered, she said quietly. Arden reached across the table, taking her hand. Maybe someday you will, or maybe you won't. Either way, we'll make new memories, better ones. They started therapy the following week, both individual sessions and family counseling. Briar with a trauma specialist who helped her process the complicated grief of losing a life she never knew she had. Arden with someone who specialized in prolonged grief and parental loss, together with a family therapist who helped them navigate their new relationship. It was hard, messy work. Some sessions ended in tears, others in uncomfortable silences, but slowly, imperceptibly, it was working. I'm angry, Briar admitted during one joint session. At Meredith, obviously, but also at Eleanor, at the system that failed me, at my father for getting into debt in the first place, at everyone who had a chance to help and didn't. That's valid, the therapist said. Anger is part of grief, but I also feel guilty, because Arden lost 21 years with her daughter, and I can't even remember being that daughter. I look at photos of this little girl, and I feel nothing. No recognition, no connection, and that makes me feel like I'm failing somehow. Arden spoke up. You're not failing. You're healing from trauma. That takes time. But what if I never remember? What if I'm always just Briar pretending to be Lyra? Then we love Briar, Arden said simply, because Briar is who you are now, and I'm grateful for every day I get with you. Memories or not, Briar wiped her eyes. You make it sound so easy. It's not easy. It's heartbreaking and complicated, and sometimes I lie awake at night wondering if I'm doing this right, but you're here. You're alive. That's more than I had a month ago, in early December. They visited Harlan's grave together for the first time. The cemetery was quiet, covered in the season's first real snow. Arden led them to a modest headstone. Harlan James Caldwell, 1969-2008. Beloved husband and father. I haven't been here in years, Arden admitted. I was too angry at him for dying, for leaving me alone with all this grief. Alistair stood back, giving them space. This moment belonged to them. Briar stared at the name on the stone. I don't remember him at all. He would have loved seeing who you've become, Arden said. He would have been so proud, even though his debts are what caused all this. He made mistakes, terrible ones, but he loved you both more than anything in this world. When you disappeared, it destroyed him. He tried to hide it, tried to be strong, but I could see it eating him alive. Arden's voice cracked. The heart attack was officially what killed him, but I think it was really the grief. Briar knelt, brushing snow off the headstone. I'm sorry I don't remember you, she whispered to the grave, but thank you for loving me enough to grieve. It was the most she could offer a man who was only a name to her now. They stood in silence for a few minutes before heading back to the car. Alistair draped his coat over Briar's shoulders when he noticed her shivering. You know, he said as they drove home, I've been thinking about the foundation, the one we announced at the press conference. What about it? Arden asked. I want Briar to help run it, not as a figurehead, but actually involved, working with survivors, families, fixing the systems that failed her. Briar turned to look at him. I'm not qualified for that. You're the most qualified person I can think of. You lived it. You survived it. And you have insights that no degree or credential can provide. I wouldn't even know where to start. That's why we'd hire experts to work with you, Arden added. But Alistair's right. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. We could help a lot of people. Briar was quiet for a long moment. Can I think about it? Of course. But even as she said it, Briar felt something shifting inside her, a sense of purpose beginning to take shape. She couldn't change what had happened to her, couldn't get back those lost years, but maybe she could help prevent it from happening to someone else. That evening, she found Alistair in the library and sat across from him. I'll do it, she said. The foundation? I want to help, he smiled. Yeah, but I have conditions. I want to visit the orphanage where I was kept, or what's left of it. I want to talk to other survivors. I want to understand every part of this system that failed me so we can fix it. Done. Whatever you need. Briar nodded, then added quietly, "Thank you for including me in this, for treating me like family even though we barely know each other." "You are family," Alistair said. "Blood doesn't require memory. It just requires showing up. And you're showing up. That's enough." Later that night, Briar stood at the window of what had once been 6-year-old Lyra's bedroom, looking out at the snow-covered gardens. She didn't remember this view, didn't remember climbing that tree or burying that time capsule or any of the 1,000 small moments that had made up her early childhood. But she was here now, building a future instead of mourning a past she couldn't access. It wasn't the reunion story the media had painted. No miraculous return of memory. No perfect healing. Just slow, painful progress. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But it was real. And it was hers. And somehow, that was enough. December 24th arrived cold and clear. The Greenwich estate had been transformed. Alistair had insisted on going all out for their first Christmas together in 21 years. White lights draped the exterior. A massive tree stood in the living room, decorated with a mix of expensive ornaments and handmade ones that Lyra and Alistair had created as children. Arden had kept every single one. Briar stood in the kitchen, flour dusting her sweater, working on sugar cookies from a recipe she'd found in one of Eleanor's old notebooks. It felt right, somehow, to bring a small piece of that difficult past into this hopeful present. "Those smell amazing," Arden said, appearing in the doorway. She was dressed casually in jeans and a soft red sweater, her hair down for once instead of pulled into her usual severe style. "Want to help decorate them?" Briar offered, gesturing to the cooling racks. "I'd love to." They worked in companionable silence, icing snowflakes and stars and, at Briar's insistence, butterflies, lots of butterflies. "I have something for you," Arden said eventually, wiping frosting from her fingers. "I was going to wait until tomorrow, but I think now might be better." She disappeared and returned with a small wrapped box. Briar's hands trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, was a photograph in an antique silver frame. The picture showed Arden, young and radiant, holding 2 newborn babies, the twins. "That was taken the day you and Alistair were born," Arden said softly. "I wanted you to have it, so you'd know that even if you don't remember, you were loved from your very first moment." Briar's vision blurred. "Thank you. I have something for you too. It's not much. I don't care what it is. Anything from you is everything." Briar reached into her pocket and pulled out the butterfly ring. She held it out to Arden. "I want you to have this back. I know it was meant for Lyra, and I know it brought us together, but it belongs to you. You had it made. You put it on her finger that last day." "No," Arden interrupted gently, closing Briar's fingers around the ring. "It belongs to you. I gave it to my daughter 21 years ago and told her it would bring her home, and it did. Keep it. Let it remind you that you found your way back, even when everything was working against you." Briar slipped the ring back on her finger where it belonged. They were still standing there, tears running down both their faces, when Alistair arrived home with bags of last-minute groceries. "Am I interrupting a moment?" he asked from the doorway. "Always," Briar said. But she was smiling that evening. The 3 of them worked together to prepare Christmas dinner. It was chaotic. Alistair couldn't cook to save his life. Arden kept forgetting where she'd put things. And Briar had to referee their good-natured arguments about whether stuffing went inside the turkey or beside it. It felt like family. After dinner, they moved to the living room. The tree lights cast a warm glow over everything. Alistair built a fire while Arden poured wine. "There's one more thing," Arden said, retrieving a folder from her desk. "The Lyra Caldwell Foundation is officially registered as of yesterday. We have a board, we have funding, and we have our first initiative launching in January." She handed the folder to Briar, who opened it to find organizational documents, mission statements, and a job offer. Briar looked up, startled. "Director of Survivor Services," Alistair explained. "Full salary, benefits, everything legitimate. You'd be working with families of missing children, helping survivors navigate the system, advocating for policy changes. I told you I'm not qualified. You're more qualified than anyone, Arden insisted. You lived this experience. You know what these families need because you needed it yourself. We'll hire advisors, therapists, legal experts to support you. But your voice, your story, that's what will make this foundation matter. Briar stared at the papers, overwhelmed. This is really happening. If you want it to. She thought about the little girl who'd disappeared from this house 21 years ago, about the child who'd grown up in institutions, always feeling like she didn't quite belong anywhere, about the young woman who'd served wine to wealthy strangers while barely making rent. All of that had led here, to this moment, this family, this chance to transform pain into purpose. Yes, she said, I want it. They toasted to new beginnings, to the foundation, to justice. Meredith's trial was scheduled for March, and the prosecution felt confident about their case, to the future they were building together. Later, as the fire burned low and the wine bottles emptied, Arden moved to the piano. It was a beautiful instrument, barely played since Harlan's death. Do you play? Briar asked. Used to. I haven't in years. Arden's fingers hovered over the keys. There was a song I used to sing to you and Alistair when you were little. A lullaby. She began to play, slow and slightly rusty, but still beautiful. The melody was simple, haunting, as Arden started to hum, then sing softly. Something stirred in Briar's chest. She knew this song, not consciously. Couldn't have told you the name or where she'd heard it, but somewhere deep in her bones, in the parts of her brain that stored early memories even when they couldn't be accessed. She knew it. She found herself humming along. Arden's hands faltered on the keys. She looked up, eyes wide. You remember? She whispered. I don't know if remember is the right word, Briar said, wiping tears. But I know this song. Somehow. I know it. Alistair was watching from across the room, his own eyes suspiciously bright. Arden started playing again, and this time Briar sang along, hesitant at first. Then more confidently, the words came from somewhere she couldn't name, a memory buried so deep she hadn't known it existed. When the song ended, Arden pulled her daughter into her arms. Not the careful, respectful hugs they'd shared before, but a real embrace, the kind mothers give their children when they know, finally, that everything is going to be okay. Alistair joined them, wrapping his long arms around both women, and they stood there in the soft glow of Christmas lights while snow began to fall outside. Welcome home, Lyra, Arden whispered into her daughter's hair. Welcome home. My name is Briar, she said, but there was no bite to it, just gentle clarification. Welcome home, Briar, Arden amended. My beautiful, brave daughter, however you want to be known, wherever you want to go from here, welcome home. Briar looked around the room that had once been hers, at the brother she was just beginning to know, at the mother who'd never stopped loving her even when all hope seemed lost. This wasn't the life she'd expected. Wasn't the fairy tale the media had wanted to paint. There would still be hard days ahead. Therapy sessions, court dates, moments of grief for what could never be recovered. But standing here, surrounded by family and love and possibility, Briar felt something she'd spent most of her life chasing without knowing what it was. She felt like she belonged. The butterfly ring caught the firelight, glinting on her finger like a promise kept. 21 years ago, a little girl had disappeared from this house. Tonight, a woman had found her way home. Not the same person who'd left, but someone stronger, someone who'd survived, someone who would use her survival to help others find their way back too. Outside, snow continued to fall on the Connecticut estate, covering everything in white. A clean slate, a new beginning, and inside, a family that had been broken began.